It's quite clear those that many expected to do something about the crimes of the COVID era aren't going to do anything to hold the people and agencies that did this to us to account. Maybe they'll give us an indictment here or there of some figures, certainly not the key ones. And although we do hope to see justice one day, it doesn't appear to be a day one priority as it should have been. But there is one man who could bring this all to its knees, and that man is Barry Young, the New Zealand government contractor or former contractor turned whistleblower who fully anonymised COVID vaccine death data for the whole world to see. Can you believe that it's already been 900 odd days and this case is still going? A crucial ruling is set for tomorrow, but in the meantime, a shocking revelation has come out of the courts. It appears the New Zealand government has admitted that they deem it irrelevant how many people died from these vaccines. Yes, Barry has the data. Yes, it's real, but we don't dare to put it in the court record or else a lot of people are going to be in serious trouble. The story doesn't end there, and the reason this matters right now is because if no one is held to account for the COVID crimes, they'll just do it again. They are trying the same lies right now with hantavirus, for goodness sake. Journalist Liz Gunn joins us with Barry Young to elaborate on the latest updates to this crucial case right now. Liz Gunn and Barry Young, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming on for this very important update. Thank you.
Thank you
It
for having
really
me.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially the timing, considering this nonsense around hantavirus, whether or not they're successful. We saw what happened with monkeypox. That basically failed completely. This may also fail, but the point is they're still committed to the pandemic narrative, and that is why this case matters so much. So, Barry, am I to understand correctly here that the New Zealand government is saying that they don't want to review the evidence of how many Kiwis died from these COVID injections?
That's 100% right. They are absolutely refusing to look at any data that I've provided. The latest swath of data, I was using their standard epidemiological methods to do this. So I went through it diligently and meticulously to show them that I did have reasonable grounds for concern, not only reasonable grounds, above and beyond reasonable grounds. I was not using the reasonable man test. I was using their expert level test, which is not in the legislation, but I wanted to do that anyway to show them that, well, one thing that I can do this, I'm capable of doing a study like theirs, and also to prove beyond any doubt whatsoever that there is a link between the vaccine and excess mortality in New Zealand.
And
That is for them to consider. And they are absolutely refusing to look at it, to the point now that they are saying, even if it is shown that the vaccine is causing excess deaths, it is irrelevant.
so I'm just thinking out loud here, the potential reasons for them refusing to review this. Obviously, they don't want that on the record, that there are this many
Absolutely.
deaths. They don't want the public to see, to have further confirmation in a court of law of your data. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a crucifix to a vampire. They absolutely refuse. They cannot look at it. Even their expert in the voir dire last December did not look at the data. He opened up the spreadsheet and closed it down immediately. They cannot look at this data because it is devastating to them.
Liz, so now we're being told that we don't want this data entered into the court record, essentially. We don't want the public to know about this. We also don't want to see that any of our experts or appointed people are looking at this because that means that some people may be held to account, right?
Maria, we are at nearly day 900 since Barry was arrested on this nonsense. This is 900 days the New Zealand government has spent God knows what money. I mean, probably millions and millions of dollars on these lawyers trying to suppress. Basically, it's this, suppressing the truth, not telling the people of New Zealand the truth. And remember, we had a change of government just after we put out the Barry Young data. We went from the Labour Party to the National Party, who were the Conservatives in New Zealand, and we know around the world in Western nations they are a uni party. We offered one member of the coalition, Winston Peters, the exclusive right to put out Barry Young's data, to have the world plaudits, to have the world congratulate him and thank him for stopping these jabs by putting up this irrefutable evidence that they have caused excess deaths. And maybe, Barry, you could just sheet that point home by what the expert witness said in your voir dire hearing in December. He put a certain number, and you're able to contrast that with the actual number of deaths, showing that there are excess deaths in New Zealand. Could you go to that point, Barry?
Yes, well, he provided basically Statistics New Zealand background mortality rates for the whole population of New Zealand during 2022, grouped by age band. So you got 0 to 4, 5 to 10, and so on and so forth, up to 100 plus. Now, using his numbers and his data, it was worked out that for the cohort of the data that I had access to, the 2.2 million people, using the same age groups and the same numbers and the same time period. And he could do the same thing. He could work out the same number. Any epidemiologist could do this. It comes up with a number that there should be 22,560 expected deaths during that time period for 2.2 million people. That's easy. That's their numbers. Now that's the baseline number we can use for the study. Now, in their observed data, the actual database is actually showing 37,315 observed deaths, actual people who died. Now, the difference between 22,000 and 37,000 means it's a standard mortality rate of 1.65, thereabouts. It means that whatever happened to those people, the 2.2 million people, their mortality risk is 1.65 times greater, or 65% greater than normal, than what it should be. That's devastating. You should never, ever, ever get a vaccine or any product with an SMR of 1.65. That's a real danger signal. It's a red flag. Now, because of the numbers involved here, you've got 37,000 versus 22,000. You can put that into any program like RStudio or Python, any technical thing that the epidemiologists use to find out what the statistical significance of that is, the likelihood of it just happening by chance. Okay, so it's like tossing a coin, basically. What are the chances of getting 50 heads in a row, that sort of thing. Now, the statistical significance of this is similar to, say, you finding an atom anywhere in the universe, anywhere in the known universe, and me correctly finding it by chance and doing that 4 times in a row. That's how unlikely this is to be due by chance. So there has to be an underlying cause for this. There has to be an underlying reason for this. And the fact is that they are just absolutely refusing to acknowledge that. This is government data. They are absolutely refusing to acknowledge it, and they're refusing to look at it, to the extent that they're saying that they're not going to, they don't care. Even if it does cause excess deaths, they do not care.
And this is expressly what's been said here, right? Even if the data proves that this did cause excess deaths, we don't care.
Court document.
What is the exact wording?
The exact wording? For the avoidance of doubt, the Crown would also say, more generally, that the evidence is irrelevant to establishing excess mortality from vaccines in fact occurred, which the Crown would also submit is irrelevant.
Wow. Okay, so I'm hearing the government does not care if people died, and it's actually irrelevant to us whether the product we told them was safe and effective caused their deaths.
That's where they are right now. That's the position that they are in. They are forced now to come up with stuff like this because the evidence is devastating.
Wow.
And And this is so important with the Hunter virus, and people already putting up little signs saying, I'm jabbed by the Hunter virus vaccine. I mean, we cannot do this playbook again. Look to New Zealand. The world can look to New Zealand. And the reason for that is this is a man who worked for the government as a contractor, building his database for the government. But he built it. It is his data, and he put it together. We are unbelievably lucky, Maria, to have this man, his courage, his tenacity. They've tried everything to corrupt this whole process. We know lawfare. I've been in lawfare. Many people around the world have experienced a form of lawfare where the courts are siding with corrupted governments, which is not what their role is. Their role is to keep corrupted governments honest by calling them out. So all we're left with, Maria, is this: the people of the world online supporting Barry Young, getting behind his case and saying, we demand that the New Zealand data be released. There is no reason for it not to be. We are still, can you believe this, in the pre-trial phase after 900 days of Barry Young's ordeal. We are still at that phase because in the voir dire hearing that's meant to go ahead tomorrow in New Zealand, the judge is meant to decide whether he qualifies under our legislation, our very specific, easy to follow whistleblower legislation, whether he qualifies as a whistleblower. He does. If he is not deemed a whistleblower tomorrow by the judge, or if they try to extend it, which is what they may try to do, and pretend they need more evidence, which they don't. But if he is not deemed a whistleblower, there is no whistleblower protection anymore in this country. They are basically putting aside a statute that has been upheld as a statute of great import in New Zealand. So the judge is in a real bind. Just maybe, Barry, you could address that. He has two options, doesn't he? He either honours you as a whistleblower or he says you're not, and it goes to trial. That's right,
Yes,
isn't it, Baz?
that's exactly right. And it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Either it does uphold the Protected Disclosures Act, which is great for whistleblowers in New Zealand, and that is a win for us. And then that means the trial doesn't go ahead and they don't get to look at all the data and stuff like that. Or he denies it and the Protected Disclosures Act is null and void, as well as a whole bunch of other legislation, like the Bill of Rights. They do go to trial, and 900 days and counting, it's probably going to be another 2 or 3 years before we do actually get a trial date. And that is pretty much lawfare. The process is the punishment. And if it does go to trial, we win anyway, because then I get the absolute golden opportunity to question them and expose all their lies and their dirty tricks and their corruption.
Wow.
And it has been an absolute voyage of discovery. I have learned so much by this. And there is absolute filth in there, in our institutions that we hold dear. And I wasn't, I was a model citizen. I'd never been in trouble before with anyone. And
You still are,
I've just
You still are, but in my view,
the mask has fallen, and I've just seen, what the heck is this meant to be our government? They are so rotten. They are so corrupt, and they will basically stop at nothing to try and discredit me, or it's just so bad what they've done. Really, really
And
terrible.
they have all the resources, Maria, and Barry has none. He will not accept money. I've asked him time and time again, will you let me do a fundraiser for you? Because he wants to keep it pure. As a whistleblower, there is no financial motivation behind his putting out this information. His only motivation is clear. He wants to stop the human beings of the world, not just New Zealand, being poisoned by this bioweapon shot that was full of poison. And we can be sure the next round of these fabricated viral scares that they are putting out through legacy media, that those shots will be poisonous as well, because nothing has been cleaned up yet from COVID.
Yeah.
So we need this case. The world needs this case. And before, Barry, I was wanting you to give people that visceral image you gave me of the excess deaths you've come across would equate to fields and fields of the fallen from the wars. Can you just give that example you gave me again?
Yes,
Baz?
well, we just had Anzac Day in New Zealand and Australia, and it's 25th of April, and I went to the Dawn Parade, and it's a beautiful service, as you know, and we honour the fallen from the two great wars and the other wars which have been, and it's
Who
sad
fought
to think
for
of
freedom of speech?
who fought for
freedom of
who
speech?
fought for for us right now here, for our freedoms. And yeah, it's all been corrupted. But to visualize those young people in fields and fields, so 1,000 of them who died would be the equivalent of a football field. With the excess mortality just in New Zealand that I've observed on 2.2 million people within a database, there are about 15 such football fields of people who should be still with us today. That is the effect of this. That is how bad this has been.
The severity of the things that you're talking about cannot be understated. Or overstated rather, I should say. The expectation from a lot of people was that once the Maha movement kicked off, that we may see some accountability for all of this. The statute of limitations for at least even trying to hold Fauci accountable for lying to Congress just came and went. Nobody did anything about that. It doesn't seem like any accountability is coming. There won't be any action on the shots or the danger of them. No public discussion around this has happened. And as you so rightly point out, Liz, again, I don't know whether hantavirus will be the next thing. They're giving it a go. But the point is that the pandemic and pharmaceutical and vaccine industry is not going anywhere. It's one of the biggest industries that we have. The WHO needs to desperately remain relevant and continue their grift, which means all of their collaborating centers and everyone around the world continuing with these scam pandemics. And one of the most disturbing things that I learned yesterday was that the HHS here has made a statement about a PCR test being mildly positive for an American. The HHS, led by RFK Jr., who wrote an entire book about Fauci and COVID and spoke about the scam that was COVID, this HHS is now using this fraudulent testing method. And I say fraudulent because it's almost guaranteed to return false positives. So we're doing the same thing that we did during COVID. Nothing's changed. And considering we're not getting accountability anywhere else, this is pretty much the only case I see that may actually lead to something. So, Barry, I sincerely hope, for the sake of whistleblowers being protected, that the case doesn't progress. But the fact that you are being able to, put them on the spot and force them to face these things is, in my view, the biggest feat we've had thus far.
Yes. I think the trial will be great if it ever comes to happen. The trial will be epic because they will all be under the microscope for that. And I will call as many witnesses as I can to do this. And yeah, it could be like another COVID inquiry.
Yeah, but a real one.
There is an election, Maria, in November in New Zealand. We have a tiny sliver of a window where perhaps we can push one politician who's rather Trump-esque. He plays the magic tricks. He promises things, then reneges on those promises. He charms the electorate, then pulls back on where he's promised. He is doing some good work at the moment on our mass immigration of Indians that's been sanctioned by National, and New Zealanders are furious about that. But there is one thing he would never, ever pick up the phone to me about, and that is the Barry Young data. I'm asking every New Zealander, I can ask people from around the world, please write to Winston Peters, care of the New Zealand Parliament. It's very easy. The letter will get to him. Literally, write letters. Make it a tsunami of mail saying, please meet with Barry Young. Please listen to him on the New Zealand data, and please ensure before this election that it is published, Winston Peters. And I said in an interview yesterday, Winston, you would be a shoo-in for Prime Minister if you did that. Moreover, you would be lauded by the people of the world, wouldn't he, Maria?
Yeah, absolutely. Any single person who tells the truth about this would be a hero. That's why so many in the Maha movement were viewed as heroes, because they were supposed to talk about these things. They didn't. Therefore, they're no longer heroes. But anyone who actually does this would actually be a hero, and they would have the full support of the people, the protection of the people. They would, everyone would get behind them, because not only does it expose the crime that was, it ensures that another crime never happens again like it. So Barry Young, we are so grateful for your courage. Thank you for this update. Liz Gunn, thank you as well for standing by Barry. Sorry I cut you off there, Barry.
That's okay. I was just saying thank you.
Oh, of course, of course. No, I'm certain that everyone watching this really appreciates you and your plight, and we'll be keeping an eye on how this progresses tomorrow. Thank you so much. Imagine being in your 20s, newly married, and given just 60 days to live by the Mayo Clinic after a grueling cancer diagnosis. That was Rick Hill's reality in 1975 until a letter led him to a Tijuana clinic. There, he embraced Laetrile B17 supplements, enzyme therapies, a raw organic diet, and detox protocols. Within just 3 weeks, Rick was off morphine, gaining strength, and today, in his 70s, he's been cancer-free for 50 years. His story, featured on the Daily Pulse, proves the power of natural alternatives. Now, thousands have followed suit. Richardson Nutritional Center's Laetrile B17 and enzyme therapies, paired with organic produce kits and detox support from trusted retailers, are transforming lives. Rick reports even people who are suffering from the shots are achieving the same results he did. To use the same protocol that saved Rick Hill's life and receive a free copy of his book, go to rncstore.com/pages/ricksbundle and use the discount code PULSE for an additional 10% off your first order. That link again is rncstore.com/pages/ricksbundle, and remember to use discount code PULSE for an additional 10% off your first order.